Welcome to Daily Meme. We post daily memes and Reddit videos. Subscribe today. The video will begin in 3, 2, 1. What is your Tinder horror story? Found a profile using a picture of me that was obviously ripped from my Facebook account. Come to find out it was my ex-wife trying to stir up drama and problems between my current wife and myself. A single friend of ours texted me a screenshot of it. My wife is an intelligent woman and didn't fall for it. This became a horror story for my ex because this, among other shady things she had done, landed her with stalking charges and identity theft charges. Sucks to be stupid. There's multiple accounts on dating sites all over the internet that for some reason used my pics. I got a message on Facebook a few years ago from a girl who was irate that I would pretend to love her so much then talk about how much I hated her dead brother. Her dead brother was actually an acquaintance of mine. Anyway, I was able to track that particular user to be someone I did know in high school, but beyond that IDK. Even to this day I get messages from angry women. Not my story, but I knew a guy who had a Freudian slip. More dark side Kermit, bad enough that it ruined everything. I was told this by him after he got home, and suffice to say he was like, why the fuck did I say that? Date had been going well, and they were walking back to a bus station. They passed a creepy alley, and she said something to the effect of why I would not like to go down that alley, to which he responded, I imagine you are very rapeable. Suffice to say, she ran for the hills, and he was mortified. He very much was not a creepy person, and had no clue why the hell he said that, nor has he, to the extent of my knowledge, raped anyone. But Christ almighty, do I agree with the girl's decision to run. Jesus. You might actually find her on this thread, LMAO. First date. We went to see a movie. She brought her sister along without consulting me first, and I somehow ended up paying for both of their tickets. Bit of a doormat, old me. We went to see Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Turns out, neither of them had seen a Star Wars film before, nor had any idea at all what was going on. Awesome. Date ended at McDonald's after the movie with 1 hour plus of her eating fries one at a time, and her sister talking shit about basically everyone at her work. To this day I'm not sure what that date was even about. There was no second date. It kind of sounds like you were just their free shit ticket, bro. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out, and no red flags, so we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. He told me instead of saving for that I should save for a boob job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, no, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small tits and got boob jobs and they look amazing. This is all before the waitress even brought our drinks. I just got up and left. Maybe he should just go sleep with his mother and sister then. Maybe he already did. This isn't actually my story. It's my mom's. After getting out of an incredibly long and unpleasant marriage, my mom joined Tinder. Stella wanted to get her groove back, and I was 100% on her team. I'm an adult. I can't emphasize enough, she was not looking for a long-term connection. Her work sent her out of state for a while, and everything seemed perfect. She's going to get her OD, and there's no chance of it getting serious. She's sending me screenshots of the guy she's considering. I'm giving her tips on safety, and then she picks a guy. I immediately tell her that he is not a wise choice. This guy's profile is 98% red flags by volume. Whatever, she's an adult. I literally cannot stop her. Somehow in the 4 hours they are physically together he figures out which flight she's taking the next day. He used that to find her final destination, and somehow even finds her home address. He uses the public tax information to find her full name, and from there hunts down her Facebook, and finds my dad, calls him on the phone, and dishes CVERYTHING, sends him pictures and screenshots of convos. Then he starts sending my mom harassing messages that he loves her but that he can't trust her. Ultimately my mom had to call the police. Eater. Oh, wow. My first silver. Thank you. What the fuck is wrong with people? First date. She wanted me to get into a bar fight with the perfectly friendly guy who'd bought us a round of shots that night. Why? Because she found out he was a Scorpio. Astrology chicks are crazy. I'm replying so my GF reads your comment. Mad lad. Fresh off a breakup on campus, match with this really good looking girl who is talking pure filth. Obviously I'm just an idiot with a hurt heart, so I don't question much, head over to her place a few days later. She insisted I come over on a certain day at X, 20th o'clock. Usually I would have been sketched out, but it was the middle of the day on a B1G10 campus, what exactly could go that south? Half hour in her husband came home. I was being used in revenge plot. No more Tinder. I'd like to hear the rest of the story. What was she seeking revenge for? What did he do when he saw you? 3 of them played Uno together. Chatted with this girl for about 2 weeks. Every conversation went well and eventually I got her number and she started sharing nudes and speaking dirty. Late on evening after a stressful work day she talks me into driving an hour to come get coffee with her. She spends the next hour and a half non-stop talking about her ex and how she has to see him at the bank and all this personal upset ex-girlfriend stuff. She cuts me off anytime I try to speak or change the subject right back to him. A day later I get a text about how I didn't do any talking and I was too boring to be anything more than just friends with. She got irate when I pointed out she would not allow me to speak and only wanted to talk about her ex-boyfriend when we have never once had a slow or boring conversation before meeting up. Let's go hunting. Can I have a gun? No, you don't get to have one. I'm never inviting you hunting again. You didn't shoot anything. This guy asked me if I would be interested in dating his dad. Pretty sure that guy was a catfish of said dad pretending to be guy. Probably. The message he sent me was so weird. Don't leave us hanging. What was the message? This was a few years ago, so my memory is a little fuzzy. Something along the lines of, "Hey, my dad looked over my shoulder when I was checking out your profile. He wanted me to tell you that he thinks you're really cute. He's been really lonely lately. Would you be interested in going out with him? He's in his 50s. Here's a pic of him." Oh, I have one where I was probably the nightmare. I went on a first date with a girl from Tinder at a Cajun restaurant in Dallas. The restaurant was the Razzoos on I-75. I had read recently about some stuff called kratom that is supposed to make you feel really relaxed and euphoric, and I had tried to make a tea from the recommended dosage the previous day, but I didn't feel anything off of it. So I figured, if this stuff was supposed to make you be cool and euphoric, then the best time to take it would be for a first date. And since I didn't feel anything from it the first time, I figured I should take more. So I wrapped a lot of it. Kratom is usually sold as a greenish, super bitter powder, up inside of balls of deli meat, and swallowed those whole before the date. I then went to the lunch feeling nothing until I met the girl and sat down, at which point I suddenly came to the realization that I was a few seconds away from projectile vomiting up all that kratom and deli meat in the middle of the restaurant. I excused myself, got up from the table, walked a few steps towards the bathroom until I began to violently vomit, at which point I covered my mouth with my hands, began choking on my own vomit as I sprinted towards the bathroom, leaked a trail of vomit all over the floor in a path towards the bathroom, then continued to violently projectile vomit into the trash can in the bathroom. I then spent a while to clean my face and wash my arms and hands, which were soaked in vomit. I then returned to the table and tried to survive the rest of the lunch date without dying of embarrassment. I felt like a huge asshole and was really embarrassed. This girl I matched with just messaged to troll me. I was like, "Hey, what's up? and she was like, "Don't talk to me unless you plan on fucking me with your 9-inch dick." I forgot what my reply was, but she obviously never messaged back. Then a week later I'm getting McDonald's and this girl was the one who handed me my food. She recognizes me instantly and just had this total look of fear in her eyes. I walked out of there so quick. That poor girl thought I purposely sought her out to confront her or something. This is like that feeling when you're walking to a parking spot and you manage to accidentally follow a stranger to the car next to yours. Well, I've only gone on one Tinder date. We talked for a bit and I agreed to pick her up at Starbucks. She looked nothing like her pictures, but I thought I should be nice and at least hang out with her for a bit. We went to her place and the entire house reeked like cat pee. Like saturated. Then as she proceeded to show me her massive collection of animal tail butt plugs, she screamed at her chihuahua and smacked it right on the nose, and without missing a beat just asks if I want to make out on the couch. I awkwardly sat down and pretended to look at my phone and made up that my grandma was dying so I could get pho. One of the many reasons I'm sad my Meemaw passed away. Oh my god, my grandma died. Sorry, I need to go. Easy. Me and a girl agreed to a hookup. This was a few years ago. We did the traditional swap nudes beforehand to make sure we both liked what we saw, and she shows up to my place 5 months pregnant. I asked how TF she hide that stomach, and she said, "Hey, you only asked to see my tits and ass. You never asked for a full body." Touche. But fuck you. Can't get her pregnant. Lol, literally what my roommate at the time said. Met up with a Tinder girl at Dave & Buster's. She brought me there for a fucking pyramid scheme sign up presentation. Guess I respect the hustle. Ugh. Happened to me in college, but this was in the early 90s, so no Tinder obviously. Met this attractive girl on campus. We had coffee, then a lunch. Nothing ever physical, but she seemed into me. One day she calls me, asks me to come by her office. I'm thinking weird, but okay. I go, she meets me, and she brings me in this room. And there's about 10 other guys around my age all sitting around this conference table. We're all looking at each other with these WTF expressions on our face. Then the girl comes back in with her boss and the sales pitch started.